everyone, I hope that you are doing well. I am back with more DIY bodyworks, and for those of you who've been a part of several series that I've done, you know that you're free to work along with me. And what I'm going to be doing today is that I'm working on myself to prepare my immune system because the seasons are shifting, and I figured that you all could benefit, from this as well. This is what I'm working on with others, during this time, and I'm actually planning to do a full-on workout retreat, DIY workout retreat, even with my family, in addition to some of my clients as well. So again, I figured that you all could benefit from this. So if you're new to DIY bodywork, it is one of the safest practices for leveling up your total well-being. And normally what we do is I always encourage everyone to get started with hydration. So even though I tend to stay pretty hydrated, anytime before working on myself or working on others, I always again encourage them to drink water. So if you're going to be working along with me, grab your water so we can start getting hydrated before we start using moisturizer to moisturize ourselves before we get started with this process. So if you're going to work along, please drink up. So I'm going to do that now. All right. So I just wanted to get a few sips. I actually am pretty hydrated. So we're going to be doing some reflexology and also acupressure and possibly self-massage as well. It's just what sort of ever comes up in the moment. I try to just allow myself to be divinely guided on what to work on, but I want to do obviously some demonstrations, especially for those of you who are not familiar with this process. So I'm going to take a moment to get moisturized. I'm just looking to see which moisturization I'm going to use. I have some hydration lotion here, and then just some standard aloe and vitamin C. Sometimes I use ginger oil as an essential oil, but I'm not going to be using that today. I'm feeling guided to actually use the lotion here, so I'm going to take a few moments to get lotioned up. And again, I encourage you to do the same. And for those of you who are not hydrated enough, please get yourself hydrated, because we drink water before and after. So I'm going to start off with my right foot. So I'm actually just going to lotion my right foot for the time being. And, we'll see if we get over to the left foot. As I mentioned, I'm going to be working on really the overall well-being, but really preparing the immune system, especially again for the season shifting. So, lotion up part of my calves just in case. Start doing some self-massage. Okay, I think that will be good enough to get started. I'm going to moisturize my hands as well, because as you all know, it could possibly break off into some hand reflexology or just some basic hand massage. Okay. All right. Okay. So normally, what I do to get started, and again, most of you who follow along, you're very familiar with this, is that we open up the hip flexors by putting our hands, turning them like blades, and putting them underneath the ankle bone. And so we just start rubbing. I normally recommend that you do this about 30 times, but I'm just following the guidance, for now. You can let your foot dangle, so there's really no, right or wrong way, or you can rest your foot as well. But we just want to get under here because what it is preparing the body for the stimulation that's going to be taking place as we start doing some reflexology rubbing, which is going to help to generate and stimulate the well-being for the organs that we're going to be working on, but also it just gives your overall body really a stress reliever. And we know that stress is very big and very common, even just in environmental toxins and things that we take in, and not necessarily just activities or the busyness and chaos of life. So just wanted to open up with that. So also we're going to do kind of a spinal reflex, and just take your foot and just twist it like this here. Again, this is just preparing not just the foot but the body in general to receive the higher benefits of this stimulation for total well-being. So I want to work on the general protocol for well-being, and that really is just sort of going over the foot and getting the different organs just prepared. And so normally I start off with going up the spine. And so the spine reflex we find right here, all the way up the side of your foot, all the way to the top of your toe. And so normally what we do is a worm walk. And you can do kind of some rubbing. You can do it with one hand. I like to do it with two. So I'm going to recommend that you actually start off doing that as well. I typically go up and down. I do it 3 times. Now, I'm an empath, so working on my central nervous system is very important. So sometimes I will actually recommend that empaths do it at least 5 times, but just going to do it probably 3 times during this time. So again, allow myself to be guided. For those of you who are following along, please listen to your body and do what you can. And again, this is freestyle, so break off to do whatever you feel most guided. But if you want to kind of follow along with what I'm doing so that you make sure that you actually are working on specific organs, then of course feel free to do that, because that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing my own session with you. All right, so let's get started with actually going up the spine. So see if I can position my foot here a little bit better where you can see I'm starting right here at the base of the heel and just doing the worm walk. I'm doing it a little slow, just going up the entire side of the foot here. And this is working on your spine, but it's working on your central nervous system. Also helping to relieve so much stress that is in the body. I can take some deep breaths too as you're doing this, and going back up here again. So it's 1 time up, 1 time down, and we're going to count that, as a full go there. Now we're on our second. So come back down here. And I could possibly go more than 3. Just again, allowing myself to be, to be guided. And you do the same. Trying to go at a decent pace so that those who are new to this can follow along. Okay, I think I'm just going to allow that to be for now. I won't go up anymore. All right, so what we want to do to continue the stimulation with the nervous system is we're going to actually work on the brain. And as we work on the brain, this is actually going to be also touching on kind of the sinuses, starting that process, because like I mentioned, we're going to be working on the immune system and just having this general protocol for your total well-being. So we get you prepared, again, for the seasons of shifting. So the brain is found on the big toe here, right in this area. Right here, we have what is called the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. And then here we have the pituitary gland. When working on the toe, we're really working all of the face. And the mouth is found right in here. You come down here, this is the neck. The nose is on the side. But the reason why we want to work on the brain is because we want to get that stimulation going, okay? So, and we'll touch over all of this. You can go over your entire toe, but I just want to point out some of the areas for you so I can provide some education. But also, I don't want to get too technical. Most of you know, even though I'm trained in this, I like to make this as non-intimidating as possible so that people can actually start to work on themselves. The true healer is really within you. So yeah, so I'm just doing it in kind of two different ways here. All right, so we've got a little bit of stimulation going in the brain here. So now let's just work the toe kind of in a 360. So you can work all around this. And this is really a reflexology rub. Again, I've named some of the areas, but again, not to get too technical in a sense. It's just start to rub and get some stimulation going there, right? So you can see that. Yeah, so we just want to work that toe, as I mentioned, in a 360. When we get to working on the sinuses, we're going to be working on all of the toes. But again, it's just important to get the brain stimulated. And that's also, too, again, why working on the central nervous system and going up the spine reflexes. So again, it's just preparing for the communication that needs to take place. And that's what the central nervous system does. It sends out those different signals to the body. So all of this is just preparation. Okay, actually, to get a little bit more lotion here. Okay. All right, so allow myself to see where we're going to be guided to go next. So since we're working on the general protocol for total well-being, we're going to work on the thymus gland and the adrenals as well. Then we'll touch on the kidneys. So we're going to find the thymus right in here. It's right under the thyroid area. So right in here. And that's where we're going to start working. So you can dig in with your thumbs just right in this area. You don't have to press too hard. Do it at what is comfortable for you, right? So I'll work here with this here. So we're already starting the process of building up that immunity, again, which is very important. Now right under here, under the ball of your foot, this is where you're going to find your adrenal gland. Then down just a little bit is where we find the kidney reflex. So let's just give a rub right here. And also let's give thanks to our adrenal gland. So those times where you feel kind of fatigued and burned out, you can rub right in this area and it will help you tremendously. So you come down just a little bit right here, kidney area. Do just a few little presses there. Now, In some areas, some of you may probably feel some tenderness, which means that you actually do need to work in that area. I recommend just doing the kidney presses, just a few times. And if we have time, we'll go over to the other foot here. All right. So just give this area a good rub, the adrenals and the kidneys. So just rub right in here and over here. All right. Okay. So next what we're going to work on is actually we're going to work on the respiratory system. So that's going to cover the lungs, the bronchioles, and of course we're going to work on the sinuses. So right in here is the lung section. But I always tell people right in this little indentation right in here, if you ever want to work your respiratory system in one area for maximum benefits, right here, this is it. Right in here, you can feel that bone there, and sometimes it's a little bit tender. That is the best place to work on your respiratory system. But I'm going to work here in the lung area. So what I like to do is kind of do just some dot to dot. So you can see that, where I'm just kind of working there. Again, I try to make this to be as non-intimidating as possible because I want you to not be intimidated to work on yourself. A lot of you can't necessarily get to see a professional reflexologist or acupuncture, a licensed acupuncturist, so you want to be able to aid in your own well-being and doing just simple presses like these, dot to dot, working here in the lungs. It's going to help your respiratory system tremendously. And if you really need that, especially with the weather that's going to be starting to change, right? Some of you are already experiencing that. Okay, so now we actually want to work on the sinuses. And you find the sinuses on the tips, the pads, the toe pads here. But we want to work all of the toes. And I'm going to just be doing kind of a quick demonstration. Of course, apart from this video, you can go back and spend more time, especially if you're really having some sinus challenges. So before we actually start working the tips, the toe pads, so to speak, we're going to dig in here. This is what I call the piano hands. So right in here is going to start opening up the sinuses, and if you have any allergies, this is very helpful when you just start to dig right in here. If you're having any trouble with your eyes, right, these two toes here, just do some rubbing and some pressing right in here. It's working your eyes. So actually, I'm breaking off into some lesson here. Also, too, if you're ever having shoulder pain, right here in these toes and right down here, that's where you start working. But all of this is so connected. And so just being able to just dig in here, start moving that energy there. And I can feel it already for myself. Of course, I'm used to doing this. So I get maximum benefits pretty much right away. For some who are new to this, it may take a little bit of time to start actually experiencing some of the maximum benefits, but you should get some relief for sure. All right, so let's start working the pads, and you can just walk down those, and you get to the middle here, kind of just press in. All right, so you may not be able to see me doing this, but I'm just going to do mine right here, and then I will turn it over where you can see it. So basically, I'm just working these pads here. All right. So even begin to rub, just to rub your toes. Get them stimulated there. So you do this with all of your toes. Just walk down to the middle, and when you get to the middle, just start to make some circular motions. And I always encourage to take deep breaths. Breath work is one of my more extensive DIY body works. So let's take a few deep breaths, please. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to work. This toe. Of course, I would be spending, a longer time on these areas, but I am actually on a time limit, today. But I wanted to come and do some work, just on myself, and again, invite you all into this experience. I had to keep in mind that some of you are new to this, so I need to slow down so you can follow along a little bit better. So used to a lot of you who've been parts of my Reflexology or DIY bodywork, series. So you all get it. You know the drill. All right. So now we got the little toe. So let's, all right. Okay. All right, let's dig in again with the piano hands. This tends to be really, really effective. Like I can feel it working now. So let's dig it in there. You can feel free to do it, from both sides. And a lot of you may be thinking, oh, it's touching my feet and working on my toes and all this. What does this really mean? I mean, trust me, it's giving you tremendous benefits. And if you are not familiar with how reflexology and acupressure work, I would encourage you to do some research. Now, within playlist, I do have, a few lessons. And also, if you want to learn hand reflexology as well, I have a few short trainings in there in the playlist as well. So yeah, so just dig in. All right. So also what I want to do at this time is to work in your track, because one of the things about sicknesses that they set up in the colon and in the track. And whenever you can have a clear track, a healthy track, then you're more than likely not going to get sick, or it won't linger as long. All right. So we work in the track down here, from here to here. That's where we want to work. And so you can start doing kind of some dot to dot in this area too. All right. So, and for some of you, just do some rubbing. If you're ever constipated, also that's the area that you want to work on, from here down to the heel. Just do some rubbing or some dot, like I said, some dot to dot here. I'm going to dig in a little bit here, right? Yeah. So yeah, just work in that area. And again, this is going to bring so much stimulation. If you can start moving that energy there, it's going to enhance your overall well-being. So I'm actually going to come over and also work on the liver. So the liver is found on the right foot, and much like you think about the organs in your body, on your foot, that's where they're going to be found on each foot as well. So like the stomach is going to be on the left side, and probably get to that today too. So I'm going to do a little bit of digging in right here to the liver area. So for you all, just kind of rub these areas, because it's going to help you tremendously, even if you aren't, digging in like I am at this point. The overall arching goal is that you just sort of learn the regions. Again, as I've mentioned before, when I do these videos, I want this to be as less intimidating as possible. So even if you're just kind of just doing some rubbing and some general foot massaging, in a sense, that is fine too. That is perfectly fine. Just want you to get the maximum benefits and know that you can work on yourself to improve your overall well-being. you'd be amazed. Sometimes you can do better on yourself than even if you went to a professional, because you can be in touch with your own body. But obviously, if you can get to a professional, it's going to be great as well. All right. So what I'm feeling guided to do at this moment is to do a little bit of acupressure. And so since I was just working on the liver, I'm going to show you, I'm just going to bend my foot here, show you where liver 3 is, right here in this indention. And so right between the toes, right down there, coming to the valley, just start to do some circular motions there. You can do some pressing. Just work on this area, maybe close to 60 seconds or so. You just do that. It's going to stimulate that well-being to your liver. So about 30 to 60 seconds, you know, in this area. You can see that there. Okay. All right. Okay. So I believe that I'm going to allow that to be it for the right foot. I'm going to come over to the left foot quickly because I do actually want to work, on the stomach and in the track. But we're actually going to work the sinuses too in this area because we want to make sure that we've covered it all. Giving some equal attention, to that. I think for this foot, I'm actually going to use more of this. I'm going to use this hydration lotion here. So, again, you feel free to use whatever you feel guided to use. Some of you just may feel guided to do some basic massaging on yourself. Again, this is your time. So be taking care of yourself, DIY bodywork style. Right. Okay. So let me start off again with opening up the hip flexor here. So we're going to follow the same protocol. All right. So let's get the blades of our hands and go under our ankle bones here. All right. And just start to move. Okay, all right. So now let's do the twisting here for the spinal twist, and let's get the spine ready to receive this well-beingness that we are going to be generating here. Sometimes the lotion and stuff kind of gets under the nails. Not using my standard oil, the ginger oil that I normally use. Okay, so let's start again with going up the spine reflex, and maybe you can see a little bit better at this angle now that I'm on the left foot here. All right, so we're going to do the worm walk again. All right, so goodness gracious. All right, so let's start here at the bottom. You can see that, and we're just going to start to work our way up the spine. All right, showing you all these. I want you well. I want you taking care of yourself, or taking your wellness to the next level, even if you are in optimum health during this time. Okay, so that is one time up and down. So now I'm going to go back up again. As I said, it's always good to at least do this 3 times. Again, if you're empathic, you can definitely stand to do it 5. At least 5 times. Let's work on that central nervous system here. Ooh, relieving stress from the body. Okay. Get down here to the toe. Right. You know, I am actually feeling guided to go back up and down again. Now, you all don't have to do this, but that's just my guidance. So am going to do that. I'm actually gonna press in a little bit. You all don't have to press in. Me, like I said, I'm used to this, so I can sort of take it, and it's not painful in any way. But sometimes a little added pressure doesn't hurt. But again, check in with your body. This is only what my guidance is telling me, so that's what's right for me. So I just want to continue just to put that out there. Okay, I'm going to go up and down one more time. Okay. All right. Get a little bit more lotion here. All right, so as we did before, was working on the brain. We're going to do that as well and work the face and everything. And since we're actually going to be working also on the digestive system, I am going to spend a little bit of time just in the mouth area as well. So let's go ahead and start working on the brain here. All right. Some of you are going to be thinking better after this. Maybe actually getting a little bit cloudy now because of not being used to working on this area, but I can guarantee you it is definitely going to help improve so many different functionalities tremendously, including your memory, just being able to think better. You know? All right, so let's just give this foot a good rub, right? So just, you know, work all over this. So I mentioned that we're going to spend some time working on the mouth area. That's part of the digestive system. That's where your saliva and, well, let me not break off too much into a training here. Just in this area, just work there. And some of you probably can feel some stimulation going on in your mouth. Right. So I'm actually going to come down to work the neck. No, that's not a part of the digestive system, but we are just working still just a general protocol for overall well-being. Okay. So actually going to work right in here where the esophagus is as well, since we're going to be breaking off into the digestive system, you know, as well, doing the stomach. So it's going to work all the way around this bone here. So much of everything is connected, as I mentioned too. You want to work the respiratory system and work it really in that area, but you also, you know, the esophagus, you know, tracheas in this area too. All right. So let's now move to really working on the immune system again. So as on the right foot, we were working the lungs and working the thymus gland area. So we're going to be working there. You all can probably see this better with me working on my left foot. So just begin to do some rubbing, kind of some hook rubbing. Now, right in here, some of you are probably going to feel some tenderness, like I have some. It's not too bad, but I do have a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig in a little bit for myself, and then I'm going to hold, and I'm going to take about 3 deep breaths. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to continue. So used to using my oil. This lotion kind of can cake up sometimes, especially when it's warmer weather. All right, so it's working here in the thymus gland. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's work the lungs. All right, so I'm gonna do that dot to dot in there. Let's work that respiratory system, and some of you are going to find yourself bucking up against a few maybe calcified pockets or so. Just kind of work around that. This is not meant to be painful at all. A little bit of pressure and a little tiny bit is not bad, but if there's something more extensive going on, then you definitely might need to seek professional help. But ways that you can work around this when you are doing DIY body work, and something that even with clients that, you know, I mentioned to them, is there are times where there are areas where it's a little bit tender, and I still actually have to work on them, on those areas, so that it actually relieves the tension, you know, that's around. It's more like when something is waterlogged, in a sense, it's stuck, energy that's trying to come through. So if there's a dam that's blocking the flow, we have to do something to relieve that, right? So just putting that out there, just food for thought, that sometimes you will have some areas that are tender. Don't necessarily shy away from those. At least rub them and move the energy and see if you get some relief. Because if it remains stagnant, it will get worse. All right, so again, just working here. I'm going to work in this area a little bit more. Oh yeah, I can definitely feel that higher stimulation there. That's going to pay off really well later. It's paying off now, but I already know the benefits of this is time release. It's the one thing I love so much about this work, and being able to share it with other people, you know, as well, is because it has a time release. Some of you will be feeling the benefits, you know, hours later, days later. All right, so it's working again. Working in there. I'm digging in. You all don't have to. I'm digging in. Environmentally, I get challenged quite a bit with environmental toxins, so my immunity needs to be top notch just to kind of fight off, you know, some of what goes on. All right, so well, we worked the sinus pads on the right foot, and we're going to continue to do that, you know, with these. We worked the brain a little bit, so that's already got some stimulation going here. So as before, just take your thumb or your finger and just walk down, kind of like 1, 2, 3, where you find that hook. Start working in that area. Okay, start working in that area. You can hold and take a couple of deep breaths like I'm going to do right now. I'm going to actually take 2 deep breaths here. Right. All right, so I'm going to work this toe. Yep. Work it in that 360 kind of way. Like I said, get the energy moving. All right. So let's do this with all the toes. You all might not be able to see this, but that's what I'm doing. Just the 1, 2, 3, hooking in, taking a deep breath, right? Just then moving around there. And yeah, it's rubbing all over the toes there. We'll come back and do the piano hands. A lot of people love the benefits of, of that part of the process. Okay. All right. And then let's not forget our little toe here. Okay. All right. So now let's dig in with the piano hands. Okay. Can you see that? Let's dig in. And again, go as gentle or as rough as you feel guided. Just again, always check in with your body. Again, when I'm doing this, I am checking in with my body as I'm going along, just following the guidance. And I know when to put pressure, when to ease up. Going for both sides here. All right. So what I'm doing here is just moving the energy even more, with the toes. And that's something that you all can do. Again, want this to be as least intimidating as possible. Get a little bit more lotion here. So we're going to work on the lower, we're just going to work on the track, and then I will show you how to work on your digestion. So as before, this region right in here is where we want to work in your intestines, in those tracks, right? And your ascending colon is in this area as well. One thing that I could show you, but we're probably not going to work on that area, is in the bladder. We probably won't work in there today. Come back and do another video, and also have other videos in the playlist that work on those areas. Gracious, this lotion today is. All right, so yeah, work in that area. All right, so now I'm going to show you the stomach area. And the stomach is located on the left foot. I know some charts have it where it's on both, but typically the way I have learned reflexology is that the organs that are on the certain sides of your body is typically how it is on the foot. And so I kind of stick to that theory in terms of the stomach being on the left foot. But of course, you can still rub that area on the right foot as well and still get benefits. Okay, so the stomach is a little bit tricky in terms of the reflex because it works in two different directions. So if you can see this, I'm going to block off this region. Right in here is the stomach, and you only want to work the stomach in one direction, all right? Right in this middle here is the pancreas. So I typically tend not to work on the pancreas and the digestion, the stomach at the same time. But you want to work the stomach in one direction because you don't want to back it up. And so you've probably heard, if you've listened to other reflexologists, they talk about that, as well. It's important that you only work that stomach in one direction. So I said that the stomach area is a little bit tricky because what happens is that it actually curves around right to what is considered the hip line. And yeah, so it makes like a backwards C. So when you work it, again, I've got it blocked off here. I'm going to work it in this one direction here. Okay. And I just realized we didn't work the kidneys on this side. Okay, I'll come back to that in a minute. So just working the stomach area. Now you can take your other hand and work around to that C. Okay, so like me, I'm gonna come here, all right, and work around. So another good thing is that come sort of under the fourth toe. If you come, work it to under the fourth toe, and then come back around. Here we go. Put a little bit more lotion here. So, tell you the season's changing and the skin and everything starts to change. You're going to require a little bit more. Okay. All right. So let me just show you that again. So blocking off the stomach area, and you can do this so that you know the region. But again, right in here, that's the pancreas. So when you're working on the stomach area, just don't work on that. You can come back and do that at another point. So again, going to work it to under the fourth toe. Now curve around, and there you go. All right. Now, for some of you, you can just rub in this area. So you just do some general rubbing in this area. You're still getting tremendous benefits, okay? Still getting tremendous benefits. So we didn't work on the kidneys and the adrenals here, and we did on the other foot, so we definitely want to do that before we close out. So as I mentioned that the adrenal glands are found under the ball of the foot here. So I'm just going to do some rubbing in this area, and then come down a little bit over to the middle. That's where you're going to find the kidney reflex, and just do a few presses there, a few presses. Okay. All right. Well, instead of closing down with doing the hip flexors again, yeah, I just feel guided, since I didn't do it on the right foot, to close down. Just going to kind of leave it at that. It's not required, but sometimes it is good if you can close down, you know, with that protocol. But what I'm feeling guided is really just to do kind of just a basic, just a basic massage over the foot, right? And I guess what I could do also, since we did do the liver 3 on the other foot, we'll do that now here. So as I mentioned, come down right here as the valley starts, and then just, yeah, start to do some circular motions, right? And you can do some pressing. Take some deep breaths, please. Okay, all right. So just going to show my foot some love here, just with just some basic massaging. And I'm actually going to work a little bit in the valleys, which tend to be tender, and yes, right in here it is. But it's not too bad, but I do actually need to do some work on this area. So I will come back and actually do another session with myself to work on these valleys. In this area, it typically always is going to be some tenderness where the bones sort of meet. But again, not to be too alarmed. And then you just use the amount of pressure that, you know, will work for you. So, yeah, I'm going to show my right foot some self-massage love as well before we close out here. So we're just wrapping up, and this went on longer than what I thought that it would, but we did work on both feet, and so yeah, okay. So, all right, we give love here to the right foot too. And on this side, I'm actually not really having any tenderness. So it is the left side I would have to really come back and do, you know, more work on that area. There's some basic stimulation going there. All right. Okay. All right. So there we are. That was our togetherness session today, working on the immune system and just general protocol for overall well-being. Thank you so much, of course, for being here with me. I would definitely love to hear in the comments about what you worked on, if you followed me, if you freestyled, and just how this experience was for you. Also keep in mind that I have a playlist that you can avail yourself to that has several reflexology and acupressure and self-massage videos, and so you can continue to take your journey to the next level. And also don't forget that I am the author of I Touch Myself and I Like It, and I have 2 different variations of this publication, and they both are available on Amazon, but there will be links in the description below so you can learn more about that. Okay, thank you again for being here with me. I look forward to bringing you more videos of this nature soon. Take care.